Hey everybody, my name is Dominic. I am the community manager here at Star Atlas, and today we're going to be starting a new series on our YouTube channel called Navigating Star Atlas, where we just sit down and we chat with our developers. We know a lot of people have been asking for something like this, and we totally agree. We want to be more open, we want to be more transparent, and we think this series does just that. What better way to start this series than to start with our CPO and co-founder, Danny Floyd, to talk about the vision. Danny, how are you doing, man? Thank you so much for joining. Can you give the audience a quick introduction and what you do for Star Atlas?
Hey, Tom. Thank you, man. My name's Danny Floyd. I'm Chief Product Officer for Star Atlas. Um, I also am game director, general art director. I do a lot for the IP and the Star Atlas ecosystem, like strategy, developing master plan. I'm also the original writer of Star Atlas stuff. Wrote all the major lore points and the story points. Um, Created the characters, species, factions, all that kind of stuff. Um, with Mike Wagner, I was also the writer of the white paper, and I'm kind of a generalist as well on production. I come from an era in video game development where there used to not be that many people on the team, not that many specialists, so everyone kind of did everything. And so I'm also a content generalist, so I'll do things like some modeling or some graphic work or little tools that the team needs, stuff like that. Um, yeah, it's I wear a lot of hats on the uh,
Jack of all
on the job.
trades.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's kind of my job to, I guess, watch out for the whole team and where we're going to make sure we're hitting all the best tech. Looking forward to new things that come up in the industry, in crypto and in video games and multimedia, like what comes up in the software world and hardware world. So I'm always like, I don't know if you could see, it's got like VR stuff, flight sticks and throttles and every little gadget. But the point is for me to stay on top of the tech. So we are always taking advantage of the latest trends and doing the latest stuff at Star Atlas.
Yeah, so you have some background in gaming, and I have a list of questions here that I'll be asking you, Danny. So you have a background in gaming. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how that's helping you with Star Atlas?
Yeah, I got my first Nintendo when I was 5, and I loved it so much. By the time I was 6, I was just constantly asking my dad to teach me how to make games. He ran the computer department at the university, and so we always had tech in our house. We had like network computers, when I was 6 years old, and it's always just been there. And then by the time I was in high school, I was learning all the different tools that you could to make games, and to do graphics and programming, as well. And then in college, I became a I was an art major, so I focused on the art side of it for video games, and that led me to a great relationship with my drawing and painting teacher, who was building an internship at the local studio in Las Vegas, which was Westwood Studios, and everyone knows that from like Command and Conquer and what I started there. So I got an internship, and then the first game that they were working on there was Earth and Beyond. It was a space themed MMO. It's like right after EverQuest, and it was the first one that came out in the market right before EVE Online. Um, and that was where I kind of got my feet wet for the first time in this industry. I spent like the first month making like a little dumpster for the game, but it taught me a lot. And after 5 months, it was like one of the greatest experiences. I've learned so much. But Electronic Arts shut down Westwood Studios, and everybody probably heard that story at some point. But yeah, that's how Electronic Arts kind of worked. They would buy up studios and shut them down. And same thing happened with Origin, and they came in to work with us in the online department. But yeah, by the time I was 20 years old, I got an offer to go work with the team in Electronic Arts in Redwood Shores, their headquarters for EA. So I was there with the online team, and worked on all sorts of different MMOs, mostly from the art side. But being part of these groups, you get exposed to a lot of everything. And I was interested in every part of game development, every single thing that you can do visually or game design. And I was part of all those discussions for Earth and Beyond. We continued that until we absorbed Origin, which was then like focused on Ultima Online. So we did Ultima Online Samurai Empire. We did uh, Ultima X Odyssey. We also did something that was never released, but Ultima Online 2, which was like in 3D. It's a shame it didn't get brought out, but also did Ultima Online Kingdom Reborn, and some other MMO stuff, Warhammer Age of Reckoning, and then another Lord of the Rings game called White Council, and then a little bit in Sims Online too. So
So you've
plenty
worked
of
on a ton
MMO.
of games. You've worked on a ton of games then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this industry actually this month, 20 years this month. Is exactly 20 years ago where I first started
Jeez,
the internship at Westwood Studios.
that's awesome, man.
And yeah, I worked for EA about 5 years. Working at EA was just crazy. They had these like binge and purges. So like every year I was there, they would binge and hire, and then they would purge like crazy. And I survived four of them, and then the fifth one I was just tired of it, and I moved on. And there was a company called 3G Studios near my family in Reno. So I moved out there, and I worked with 3G Studios for a while, and that was more like a shooter focused game. We worked on two shooters, one Airborne Rangers and Brave Arms, and that was like in partnership with Atari, and then some other. Then we broke into the mobile market. That's when that was taking off, um, and worked with Jillian Michaels too in the fitness game. um, and my brother and I, Jacob, he's the CTO on Star Atlas. We also jumped on the mobile market, so we started doing iOS apps. Um, and our first one that we released was a fitness related health app, and it blew up. And it blew up so much that we quit our jobs, and that's all we did for almost 10 years. We were it was probably like 30 different apps that we built, and then we moved into enterprise software. So then there was this moment that we were focused on like more logistic stuff. There was this one app called My BubbaNet that we were starting to inch towards getting back into games. We made it like kind of almost like a game, but for dry goods shipping. So it's like a logistics platform, which is funny because it's similar to what we do in Sage. It's like all the supply chains and stuff. And so we had to study the heck out of that stuff, and we knew everything about dry goods shipping in America, at least like the whole hub and spokes model, and we created the software for people to use, to basically play something like Sage, but with real trucks. Um,
Real quick, Danny. While you just said Sage for the first time, Sage actually stands for Star Atlas Golden Era, and that is a browser-based experience, and it's more focused on logistics, and we'll get into more of that in a little bit. But I just wanted to make a comment real quick on that, Danny. Sorry about that.
yeah, no worries. So yeah, this experience for building something like that actually comes from real world experience of cargo freighting. um, and then yeah, so we ended up kind of building these enterprise platforms, and what we learned from BubbaNet, we applied to a cannabis hemp exchange, and that was a crypto based thing. Um, we had been into Bitcoin since 2013, and we were kind of looking for an opportunity to make something around crypto, and um, and that was something that we knew a lot about because of the exchange work we did on BubbaNet, and that ended up bringing us to Michael Wagner, who was running a similar sort of business, and he acquired our cannabis hemp exchange and brought us in, and then we've been working together since. Around the same time, so I've been out of gaming for a number of years, like AAA game development, and just kind of being a first party. We did some games, but we did mostly apps. But we kept it fresh. I was always kind of playing with the different versions of Unreal, Unreal 3 back at EA, Unreal 4 with this other company, 1047 Games. So uh, I also trained as an operatic bass singer, and part of that led me to like these acting classes, which I met.
You
One of
really
my
are a jack of all trades, man.
Well, it's just I'm an artist at heart, so anything that gives me a nice challenge in a new medium, I like to dig into it. Um, and and so yeah, I was going full on into that, almost going towards a career shift away from development, excuse me, away from development into singing. And part of that was acting, who led me to make this great friend who was the sister of the CEO of 1047 Games, which is the studio that put out Splitgate. And at the time, Splitgate was Wormhole Wars, and I had a choice to make. It was either, go into this game, Wormhole Wars. If anyone's seen the old footage, it's pretty rough. Um, I was the first artist that they ended up hiring on, but it was like, wait, should I go towards singing or should I go back to development? And it was really the opportune time because COVID came very soon after, and all of my performing friends basically had their careers wiped out because all the venues shut down. There were no performances, and so it was a pretty rough period. I'm very glad that I decided to stick with software and game development because, yeah, dodged a bullet there.
Sounds
Um,
like destiny.
yeah, I mean, it all kind of worked out. Um, and yeah, I was excited to work on it. It took me a couple weeks to really get my head, okay, this is going to be a big push. So, well, started with Splitgate. I hired on a nice sized team. We didn't have a great budget, but we got 25 artists to basically overhaul literally everything to do with Splitgate, with as cheap as possible. Sorry, guys, but um, yeah, and after a few years of doing that, and being part of the whole UX and making that game thrive to what it became, it was a huge success. It was a big shooter at the time, and it totally blew up. And is really I'm glad I was a part of that team. Um, and again, that was in Unreal 4, which was a very obvious decision for me to go into Unreal Engine 5. So yeah, so working with Mike and multi-chain ventures, we were also building out this like payment software on crypto, and we had all kind of got bored after a while. Really, we were all gamers. We knew it. It was just getting a little boring, to be honest. And that's when kind of crypto gaming was starting to get a little more attention, and that was the perfect alignment of everything that we had been working on anyway. And it was an easy pivot. So yeah.
So you're also a founder of Automata, which is the creator of Star Atlas. Think of Riot Games to League of Legends here. What made you guys decide to create this game?
So yeah, as I was saying, we've got crypto background, we've got software development background, we've got exchange background, we've got gaming background, AAA gaming specifically. Um, Jacob has got the tech brain to cover all of that. I've done the art side to cover all of that, and the design side. So all these pieces falling together, and Mike covering the financial side. Um, it was just the honestly the perfect idea. So um, I'd done my research. I was able to finish my work that we were doing on Tokes, multi-chain, and then um, I put in like 3 months of R&D, just researching literally everything about the space, and identifying that really crypto games were pretty poor at the time. There weren't any really great. None of them were really great or impressive to me, uh, to want to build out. anything like that. So what we did back in 2009, Jacob and me, was like, we did the same thing with the App Store. It's like, all these apps just look awful. So we come in and you build some quality stuff, and people like that, obviously. So we always had this high level of standard that we wanted to produce with our apps, and they stand out. And even if it exists already, we do it in a proper way that we think is really due for the product. And and I'd been playing a lot of these types of games recently. So for the year before I even thought of Star Atlas, I was playing games like Stellaris, Endless Space 2, Anno 1404, Star Citizen, X4, Elite Dangerous. Played a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Online. And just because, mostly because all these were fresh in my head already, is when I came up with the idea of the um, kind of a territory control grand strategy game in space on chain with an immersive side of it where you can actually get down into your character and fly these ships, instead of just playing from the RTS angle. And I told the idea to Jacob and Mike, and immediately I didn't have to finish the sentence, and they were into it, into the idea.
It's a cool idea.
They just knew that everything clicks, and for the most part, whenever you give someone the elevator pitch, they either get it or don't. And those who get it, like, you want to align with them. They understand what the potential is for a product like this. And then yeah, at the same time, Solana was obviously the highest transaction per second blockchain, and possibly viable for video games. And Unreal Engine 5 had just announced, blew the industry by storm. Like the tech is what we always imagined as kids that games would look like in the future, and they actually did it. And so all these things converging together just brought together Star Atlas. And
Feels like a big perfect storm. Yeah.
it was. We constantly use the term serendipitous, because not only was it like all these different pieces of tech coming together, there's all these brilliant creators and builders that we knew or build relationships with, who were interested to jump on the project, and everything started coming together, and it was quite a beautiful thing. So yeah, and once we had decided as a team to go all into this, it's all we could talk about. Is every meeting we would spend hours and hours just talking about all the potential, and whittling it down to the coolest product that we want to build. And then we wrote the white paper, and designed it and brought it all together, and people resonated with it. So
All right, let's start with the meat and potatoes. The first big question, and the title of this video, actually, the vision. So it's no secret that we have an ambitious vision. No secret at all. Can you walk us through that vision and how those kind of products interact in that vision?
yeah, we're in an interesting position because we're crowdfunded. There are other games that are crowdfunded that have to go about this a similar way, and um, it appears like there's a lot of products, but really how I see it is a bunch of features that we're developing that we release as products, wrap it up and make it a nice product and send it, either it's on the web or WebGL or in Unreal, or mobile. They're just different features that go towards building one game. And take World of Warcraft, for example. If you break down the feature set, you've got like world map, you have to have characters that run around, you got mounts, you got weapons, inventory, auction house, all these things that go into building a normal big game. They can just, kind of close their doors and build every feature. And then when it's ready, you just release, right? Because we're crowdfunded, you can't do that. If we had turned off or closed our doors for 7 years and say, hey, come knocking again when we're done, that wouldn't work. And there's other games that, if you guys know about them, that have to do the same thing. you build in the open and you release iteratively. Um, and so our idea, though, is to not just build every single feature and send out a tech demo and then let people play a tech demo forever. Uh, we actually choose some of these features, build a full game loop around it that includes progression, and not just progression in the client, like actual on-chain progression. We're technically in the progression mode right now, where the currency is live. We have crafting recipes. People can actually go out and do mining and crafting loops right now. And there's a whole exit loop for that. So people can progress already. And so that's how we see our products, is release these different features as product along the way. And then we break that into a really good example actually is Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Online. So I know that they did the same thing as traditional companies can do who are fully funded, which is close their doors, build everything, and then release it. But if you look at Red Dead Redemption 2, you've got the single player campaign, you've got Red Dead Online. Um, and the Red Dead Online is a very similar approach to what we do, because they also have a companion app. So a mobile app that you can pull up your progress, you can use as a mini app on the side, or you can go to their web catalog. So they have a web catalog with all the in-game items. You can buy ammo and food and outfits and horses. And I don't know if you can buy horses, but anyway, um, you might have to go to the stable in game. But if you do that, you can do it right from your phone. You can do it on the web, and you connect your account through Rockstar Social Club, and then your in-game currency is there, right there on the web catalog, and you purchase your items, and um, then go back into the game, and it's there in your locker, and you can um, pull that up right in the game. And so it's already kind of been done by having these avenues and these different clients to interact with the game. Their game is centralized. It's connected on their back end through the social club, the Rockstar Social Club, and we use on-chain. So Solana would be our backend in that case. As long as you have your wallet,
And
then you
for
would
and for people
have
who
access
don't
as
know,
well.
we do have a browser based application. We have a mobile app that we're creating, and then we also have the UE5 game that we're creating. So just wanted to put that out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. That's the beauty of the game. Really exists on chain, and then we build out these different clients that make it really fun to interact with the on chain data. I mean, it's not fun to just do on-chain data. You have to have these clients to add some value to why people would even bother with the on-chain stuff. Um, and so they had the luxury of building in private and then releasing all at once. And because we're open development and our community is part of our development story, um, we have to take them along with us. And so by what we do is release all these little products along the way, and that there's something to engage with. Um, and yeah, that's basically how we're approaching this.
Cool, Danny. Well, something that I actually think is really really cool is how we're handling skins. For example, traditional game companies usually when they have skins themselves, they just sell them, and that's how they fund their development for a live service game. We're a little different though. Can you talk a little bit about how our skin system is going to work?
Yeah. One of the beauties of our business model is that it's kind of like a win-win-win. So developers get to make really cool stuff, community gets to play with really cool stuff, and we have a transaction model instead of um, selling skins and um, getting money from the skins that we sell. We don't have to do that because it's our goal to encourage as much player to player economic activity, because that's our funding model for the present time. Um, and so by having us wanting everyone to just interact with the economy, how do you do that? You have to interact with the game, and it has to be really cool and fun to play the game. So it's a win-win-win. We have to make cool stuff that people like, and it's the only way everyone's going to win here. So um, the idea behind these skins is that, and I've really tried to stop our team from any sort of custom skins that have come out, because if we make custom skins, and we've kind of had to do it for some promotional material, but anytime we make a custom skin from ourselves, it stops the pool of custom skins that community members or gamers can actually create. And so we make these AAA skin crafting tools as part of the game. Normally, it would be that we would make all the skins and we would release them every season, and people would have to buy a battle pass or something like that. But because we don't do any of that, we're making the skins. If you're in the game, you can just earn them. Um, but also giving those development tools to the community eventually to make their own skins, to encourage player to player trading, and potentially some people would just love to be skin crafters. Um, and so not only do you have to go and unlock the pigments and the patterns and the decals to create like ship skins and character skins, you also have to use real resources like raw resources and crafted resources that you would go, maybe someone else would be mining, and they would have a market now to offload their mining output onto somebody who wants to make cool skins. So you would use these raw resources to build like certain pigments and those kinds of things, and actually craft it and make your own skin unit that you would put onto the marketplace, and hopefully somebody else thinks it's cool and wants to buy it. But it's not even a purely cosmetic item. It's just like the real world, because we have a real world economy going on. Every item has some sort of value, so you will be able to also deconstruct that skin into its raw resources again, and maybe you wanted to craft a component or a weapon or something like that for your ship. These are all actual real units that are tracked on chain, and I'm extremely interested to see how people are going to utilize it when all these units are,
I mean, it's so cool. It's just so
real
cool.
on-chain things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can make whatever skin you want, and we're not selling the skins to you. You play the game, you get the components or resources that you need to create the skin, and then you make it yourself. And then you can choose to sell it. You can choose to make a career out of creating skins. You can just buy a skin that you think is cool from someone who makes skins. I, I adore our way of doing skins, so I just wanted to really touch on that. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's how we want to approach every single one of these tools that we're building to make the game really cool, and eventually hand that over to players to use the same system and to craft their own awesome products to put into the world.
Yeah. So moving on, this is a bit more of a spicy question for you, and I'm sure a lot of people have this exact question. So let's answer it. Why blockchain? What value does it add? How are we using it? Why does it make sense?
So what I was just talking about with skins actually is a pretty awesome way of utilizing it. Um, but because of the player to player trading is like the number one thing. It we want to get out of the way of players working with each other. It's not for us to control, and so everything we're doing is leading towards giving over the control to the players, and so you actually own all the time that you spend in the game. There's a philosophy that we worked under. It's like every single bit of energy that people put into a game should be captured in some way. And traditionally, publishers and software platforms, they do that. They collect your data, or track you and try to sell you a very specific thing that you want, that because of your usage metrics and stuff like that. Um, and that's a one-way street, because while you're playing and putting a lot of energy into this game or whatever platform that you're using, you're not able to keep your data and use it for any way that you can. So what we do with anything that uh, is on chain is it captures that energy that you put into it. The time and energy that you put into it is captured in some way, whether we're giving you resources, you're spending it crafting, you're progressing your characters or your ships, or and earning items. Um, that is some actual on-chain representation of the time you put in. Um, we can't do anything with that. You could take it to a whole nother game and build another whole nother game with that asset. You can decide to never sell it. Like, you don't care about the chain, so you just play a game as normal and you have fun with it. Or yeah, it's yours and it's extremely secure. It's not centralized. So if as the developers or the publishers, we can't just say, hey, we're turning off the servers. So long, everything you've ever earned is gone. You know, that's not how it work, because it's on chain, it's distributed network, and it's yours. It's in your wallet. We can't reach into your wallet and pull it out. So it's yours, whatever you want to do with it. And anyone who has a history in blockchain knows that that's how it works. And there's been major forks in the past that are still existing today. It had nothing to do with the developer's intent have changed, but that original blockchain data still exists and people can still utilize it. And so that's the point. Um, Games can just be can stop being supported, um, and what are you left to show for it? So yes, you had fun, obviously, and that's the point of games. You can do that here. Nobody's stopping. Nobody's stopping anyone from having fun. That's actually the point of everything we build. But there's also a lot of people who have fun with the idea that this thing is on chain, that this thing is a breathing real life economy under all of it. And there's a huge portion of gamers who love that aspect of it, that you can actually have something to show from it after playing years of a game. Now your progression is on chain. You can, maybe there's some sort of other service that will reward you just for having that, some sort of partnership. There's so much we can do there. Um, and yeah, like I was saying, the way we're building the game, you don't really even have to be concerned with it, and it'll just be piling up in your account just like it would any other game. And whether or not you want to do anything with the on-chain data, that's up to you. But it's there if you become interested in it and um, want to get into the economic side of it, or any sort of in-depth career, or you just want to, gain XP and get cool skins and play with your friends, and that's all you ever want to do. Totally fine. That's what the game is built to do.
Yeah, so something that you've told me, and I definitely want to highlight here, is that you don't even have to interact with the blockchain if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. Can you kind of touch on that, because you can play Star Atlas fully without interacting with the blockchain if you don't want to.
Yeah, the wallet creation it's actually better than traditional games where you have to, you sign up with all these different services and you gotta either connect your account or set up a whole new account for every different type of publisher that has their own platform, and it's a lot to keep track of with Star Atlas. Um, what you can do is just hop into the game and just click play now. The wallet will create itself. It'll be in the background. You won't even have to pay attention to it. You can jump in. We've got we rotate free ships that you can hop into and test out. We've got free characters that you can play with to play with these ships, and you can still progress with those ships. And only, like I said, if you're interested in extracting from the economy, that's the only time you have to care about it. Otherwise, just keep playing and keep earning rewards as you would normally any other game. Um, yeah, that's basically it. And it's just like any other game in that regard.
Yeah, I think that part is really cool, because whether you hate blockchain or you love blockchain, you can still interact and you can still have fun with Star Atlas. So really love that. Moving on. moving on here, Danny. Another spicy one for you. We're no stranger to the Star Atlas will release in 50-year allegations. So, is it really going to take that long? Can you talk to us about that?
No, like I said, it's kind of already out. That's what people maybe don't understand about this new development model is, and I kind of explained it earlier. It's we create a full game and then release it in these small chunks. And while the full vision is there and will keep us busy for a long time, we're creating these fully playable products along the way, and we already have some of them out. So I think the first time where people will really understand it is either preseason release or season zero. What we're calling season zero is where it really becomes interesting, and these things are due next year. So with preseason, anybody will be able to come on to Epic Game Store. They'll just download the game for free and be able to start playing with it, progress into it, and it's a full gameplay loop with combat racing and some other experimental modes that are fun. We've got shooting and dogfighting and some other scavenger hunt type games, which are meant to test out the system. But it's a full game. It's kind of still an early access game, but it's open to the public. And season zero is where we create a game that no one would know that it's an unfinished product. It's going to have a giant open world map with the mining loops, the crafting loops, the marketplace, the racing, the combat, and PvE, PvP. It's all going to be in there. And so someone will come in and play Star Atlas, and they'll play it as if it's a fully finished game. There'll be no indication that there's other features that are coming. But those who follow development will know. And we see this happen all the time. And I mentioned Red Dead Online earlier, and nobody's going to call that an unfinished game. But even after they released what was supposed to be a finished game, they added more roles to it, right? There's the trader role, the bounty hunter role, the moonshiner role, and it's released as content, but it adds new mechanics. It uses a lot of the fundamental mechanics that were already there, like walking around, riding a horse. What we're doing is like we're adding all these fundamental game mechanics, like walking around or riding your ship, and building a game around that. So we had to do flight first, and we had to do combat first. And there's a lot of things that go into that. So we made a game around that. So we mixed the two, and then you've got combat racing. And then you have this whole gameplay around season zero that's focused on combat racing. So someone would come in and do that with the open world aspect as well. And then we break down all the other features into 8 more seasons after that. So in season 1, we go into space mining. Season 2, we go into game hunting, and we add it as a giant content patch or a seasonal content patch, and the game expands. And yes, by the time we get to season 8, we kind of run out of new things to add, and that's when you can call it done. But we're not waiting until season 8 to release everything all at once. Season 0 is our goal, and our goal is to be next year with at least preseason and potentially season 0, because preseason is building everything that we need to build for season 0, but in a smaller map. And then season 0 is just that gigantic map with the huge amount of concurrent players. And yeah, that's when the game kind of really kicks off. So don't sleep on it. It's coming really soon.
So it will take a little bit of time to get to the full realized vision, but we do have seasons in between 1 through 8 that will have full gameplay loops for everyone to have fun and enjoy along the way. So it may be a long journey, but it will be a fun one.
Yeah, no, if you look at Fortnite, nobody's going to call that a done game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to call it a done game. And they keep releasing seasonal content. So that's what we're aiming for, is to have that. platform in place, and then release more features as seasons, and eventually everyone gets everything. So.
All right, man. Uh, my next question is about Unreal Engine 5. So our flagship product is in Unreal Engine 5. And I want to understand a little bit, and I'm sure other people also want to understand, what are the benefits of using UE5? Why did we choose it, and how it helps and stuff like that?
Yeah. So just first off, I mean, I have a lot of experience with it very recently in Unreal Engine 4. And so I'm super comfortable with the engine. And Jacob also had a lot of experience with it. So it's just it's kind of a no-brainer to make a big game like this. But the real beauty is that it's basically like having all of Epic Games on your team as well to continually support the engine and continually enhance it with all the best and latest tech. Um, and I mean, we pay for it. we pay our little royalty fees, but we get a huge value. And so a lot of that, the like actual engineering of the game engine, um, we get for free. Well, not for free, but we kind of get for free uh, because there's this huge multi-thousand person team um, at Epic Games continually iterating on it. And we're always staying on the latest updates, and we're always working to stay compatible with all of that. We're not frozen into a specific version. And so we're always watching all the cool stuff that comes in, and it saves us so much time. Um, and so a lot of it, we can focus on design, making the game really fun and solid without having to like overhaul the engine for a very specific need. Um, and then the there was a huge choice with because of Nanite and because of how much how much detail we wanted to put into our spaceships and our vehicles and our characters, that it was
Easy
it was
option.
a really easy choice to choose this because of what Nanite presented, which is, I think, vehicles are kind of the perfect use case of Nanite because you get to go like such high poly static meshes, which is just like, hard surface, hard weighted items. It's not like characters aren't supported in Nanite yet, but vehicles are. So we can just throw everything at these vehicles to get them to look as good as possible. And that's why we're able to make these really beautiful ships, is because of Nanite.
And they're
Um,
beautiful. I'm actually gonna have a ship playing on screen right now when you're watching. This is the Pierce X6, and it looks really good. So
yeah, something that was entirely impossible before Unreal Engine introduced Nanite, and the team loves building that way. It's really kind of uncapped creativity. Um, and and yeah, another reason was Tim Sweeney, who runs Epic Games and created the Unreal Engine. Like, he has a very similar philosophy, and he likes to enable developers to build openly. And we do have some like, bleeding edge tech with the crypto stuff um, that other platforms may not have been as friendly to support. And so with all these items, bringing it together, Unreal Engine was just made the most sense. Um, and it's a ton of fun to work on. It just when you can put in a nice good day of work, and at the end of it you have something really visual and fun to interact with and beautiful to look at. It's rewarding for everyone on the team, and so that just gives us more motivation to keep putting more of those days in.
cool, man. Well, I think that's actually going to mark the end of the first episode of Navigating Star Atlas. We're going to continue these, and we want to hear your guys' thoughts. So comment down below what you thought of this episode. Comment also down below what department you guys want to see next. Danny, thank you again so much for joining us today. Do you want to sign yourself off?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a good time. I watch everything that gets put out there, and I wish I could just have a direct conversation with everyone who's talking about the game at all times. it's very difficult working remote and uh, being unable to do that. But um, hopefully we can keep these going. There's so much I can go on and on and on about, but yeah, hopefully we can cover that, and hopefully everyone enjoys the development process for this IP and this game. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on. We have the character team that we can have on, the vehicle team. If you guys want to hear from the blockchain team, the econ team, doesn't matter. Let us know what team you want to see next. All right, Danny. Well, thank you again so much. And everyone at home, thank you for watching.